Given that episode 12 was the top 5 into the top 4 episode, I was ready to watch it thinking we were going to get queens actually placing high or low, but we didn't get this. Somebody thought they were being cute by spoiling this episode in the comments for me, which, by the way, to the ratties that do that, you immediately get banned from commenting on any future videos of mine, and me reading spoilers is a price enough to pay so that other lovely people don't have to. Okay? Okay. As I was saying, I was told that the bottom 2 lip sync for this episode was Brooke versus Vanessa, and that told me everything about the episode, so I decided not to watch it and then just check the other 3 queens placements on Wikipedia. I did that and saw that Akira, Salty, and Yvie all are labeled as safe, which meant that I had to watch the episode, but to save myself some brain cells, I only watched the judges' deliberations and the order in which the girls were called out to get to the points and placements needed for this final episode. And as the title says, when we finish doing this, we'll talk about the incredible Survivor Edge of Extinction finale, and my Eurovision review will be out on Sunday or Monday or Tuesday. Listen, finals are coming up, I barely have time to shit properly. So, if you have seen any of my previous videos, you know that I look at 3 different criteria when choosing who should win or should have won a season. 1. Who had the highest PP score or points per episode score. 2. Who was at the top of the competition the most, and I'm absolutely not going to explain what top of the competition means, it's in the name. 3. Who had the best storyline, and because this season is very interesting, as it had many fabricated storylines and forced storylines, we'll have to be more thorough with this one. Of course, we're looking only at Akira, Brooke, Salty, and Yvie, but if a queen that's not in the top 4 pops up here and there, her stats won't be that important. I mean, unless of course she's Ben de la Creme and this is All Stars 3, but that's not the case. With the first criterion question of best PP score, let me first tell you how I gave points for this last episode. Given that Yvie's critiques were 100% positive and she was called out first, she got 5 points, indicating a win. After her, we had Akira, who got 4 points, and whose only negative critique was that it took her a while to show herself as a frontrunner. The third girl called as safe, who did get safe points or 3 points, was Salty, and yeah, her critiques were mixed. With the fact that Brooke won the lip sync against Vanessa, she gets 1 point, while Vanessa, of course, 0. With all this in mind, and this being the 12th competitive episode of the season, and by the way, this is the only season of Drag Race where every single episode aired, of course excluding the recap or the reunion, is a competitive episode. The queen that had the highest PP score is Brooklyn Heights, with a PP score of 3.8333, whatever. Here's a little fun fact. Brooke, with her win in episode 11, had a PP score of 4.09, which, had she not had this storyline with Vanessa, would have been either 4 if she had been called third, 4.083 if she had been called second, or 4.16 if she had been called first. And why am I telling you this? Well, because in the case of her being called third, she ties with Tyra Sanchez and Nina Flowers, only being beaten by Bianca in like PP score rankings of all queens. Then in the case of her being called second or first, she beats Tyra and Nina Flowers and is only a little worse than Bianca. And why am I telling you this? Well, for one, to show you how much this placement and her storyline with Vanessa lowered her final score, while at the same time to point out that even with her lip syncing for her life twice, she's amongst 3 queens that never lip synced. 2 of them won their seasons and 1 of them was criminally robbed. The second criteria is a little more interesting. The queens that were on the top of the competition once are not in the top 4, and one of the girls from the top 4 never had the highest score, but yes, 2 queens were on the top of the competition once, and those were Plastique and Scarlett, both in episode 2. Next up, we have a queen that was on the top of the competition twice, and this queen is Yvie, where she was on the top of the competition in episodes 2 and 3. The next queen was on the top of the competition 5 times, and this was Salty No Taste Goodbye, who was on the top of the competition in episodes 2, 3, 4, 8, and 9. Very questionable judging this season, by the way, but we're going off the placements given by the show and not like common sense. The queen that was on the top of the competition the most times was Brooklyn Heights. She was at the top of the competition 9 times in episodes 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 10, 11, and 12. So 3/4 of the show was dominated by Brooke. Also, as you can see, all 5 of these queens had the highest score in episode 2, which is the highest amount of queens that were on the top of the competition so far throughout the entire history of the show. And now you might be like, but sweetie, Brooke has won 2 out of the 3 criteria or categories or whatever. She's the default winner. And yeah, you're completely correct. However, there are some things we have to talk about, so we're not quite done yet. So, who had the best storyline? Honestly, Mercedes or Nina? But like, out of the top 4, let's see. Akira was really just there for the majority of the season, with her only accomplishments reality show-wise being starting shit and getting away with it. Brooke, while she definitely had this whole storyline of being cold and not having a personality, even in the last episode she was critiqued for it, so we really never got closure for it, she had an organic storyline with Vanessa, which unfortunately was used for episode 12, and the producers definitely tried hard to make it a thing for other episodes as well, gives Brooke a clear advantage over Akira. Salty was hot-headed, cocky, wanted to be in the top 2 to show off her amazing performing skills, and then when she was given the opportunity to do so, she gave us the worst performance in Drag Race history. The judges really spent the first 2/3 of the show piping her up to the point of her only being able to go down from there, and oh boy did she. What's worse is that she never took her critiques and never grew from them, so her storyline is almost better than Brooke's, but nope. Yvie's existence in this show kinda fizzled out right after her lip sync with Brooke, but she had this underlining storyline that's a nice hybrid of Sharon's and Jinx's storylines from their seasons, but because it wasn't so pronounced, I have to give the last category to Brooke. So, given that she won all 3 of the possible 3 official categories or criteria or whatever the fuck, Brooklyn Heights is the clear winner of season 11. Well, that's almost true. There is a specific stat about every single winner, except Trixie, but Trixie on All Stars is a very special case, that says that if any of them even lip-synced for their life, or rather were up for elimination when we include All Star seasons, this happened only once. And Brooklyn Heights lip-synced twice, rendering everything we've said so far irrelevant. Of course, Brooke could be the first ever winner that lip-synced twice, but let's not break the tradition. With this new thing in mind, out of the top 4, the only queens eligible to win the crown are Salty and Yvie. For the first criteria, Salty and Yvie are tied, both having a PP score of 3.5, or rather earning 42 points. Now, when we have a tie, but have to see who did it better, what we can do first is take away the mini challenge win points, see if anything changes, and then go from there. Here, Salty's score is lowered by 3 points, while Yvie's stays the same, making Yvie the winner of the first category. As we have already seen, Salty was on the top of the competition 5 times, while Yvie twice, so Salty wins the second category. And the final one of who had the best storyline, well, it's Yvie, of course. Like, have you not seen the season? Also, the audience completely resonated with Yvie's storyline while we rejected Salty's as much as we could. So, unless Brooklyn Heights becomes the first winner that lip-synced twice, which I can see happening, Yvie is the second in line for the throne. Shame we wasted a double crowning on All Stars. Oh, Survivor now? Yeah. Well, I cannot tell y'all how happy I am with this finale. First of fucking all, no, Aurora did not come back, but my second favorite person from this season did. Yes, ladies, Chris, the living, breathing proof that some people are just superior than others. He won the return challenge thingy and then played the game like nobody has ever played it before. Firstly, the way he played with Rick and Lauren was incredible, so much so that Lauren fucked up and lost her spot in the top 4 and top 3. So, okay, what happened was that she played her hidden immunity idol, which Kelly's dumbass told everyone on the edge of extinction that she had. She played it on Chris, and he didn't even need it because Victoria was voted out. Then Chris has his immunity, the same one that Rick got when he returned. Then Rick found another immunity idol, and then also won the immunity challenge, and then gave his immunity necklace to Gavin. Now, listen, the season was definitely rigged for Rick to win. Like, come the fuck on. And I'm so glad that he was beaten in the top 4. So, during the top 5 tribal, first of all, look how gorgeous these two are. Like, what the fuck at Aurora and Victoria. Second of all, Lauren would have made her way into the top 3 and been a better competitor to Chris and Gavin if she hadn't played her immunity idol on Chris. Because, okay, see, in this tribal, let's say that she still had her hidden immunity idol and played it. Julie would have been voted out and the top 3 would have been Chris, Gavin Stitties, and Lauren. A very gorgeous bunch of people. And with these 3, I think it would have been a tougher choice because, like, yeah, Chris just came in, turned the game on its head, showed us how massive his balls are, both figuratively and literally, made Rick beg not to make him make fire, and then beat Rick easily in the fire making challenge, which he didn't even have to. But then at the same time, we had Lauren, who was a legend throughout the entire season, and held on to her hidden immunity idol, like, since episode... well, not episode, but like since day 3, 4, 2, something. Let's look at a couple of pics of Chris now. Because, wow. But also because I feel like regardless of if the top 3 had been him, Gavin, and Julie, or him, Gavin, and Lauren, he would have won. He definitely won my clit and my heart, 10 out of 10. Given that this was the first season of Survivor that I watched, like I actually followed it as it was airing and not watched clips from it, I'm very into it. And this makes me want to, even more so than ever, actually maybe apply for Survivor if there ever is one in my country again. Who knows? We'll see. I mean, realistically, I just want to be almost nude in front of a camera. Is that too much to ask?